Best Boys, a film podcast, an amateur film study podcast for the average Joe, the buffest buff, and the cringiest bingers. I am your host, JP, and I'm joined by my brother, professional Hollywood videographer
Corey with the story. Welcome back, everybody, to another fun-filled adventure where we talk about the ex-presidents. I don't know who your favorite of mine. Big Nixon man. Not a crook, right?
Yeah, Nixon. Who's your favorite president?
Man, I just said Nixon because on the poster he's in
Is
the
he your
bottom
favorite?
corner.
I mean, yeah, like, is that your favorite president of all time?
No, I don't know.
No,
I think I might be I like the idea of William Howard Taft being so big he's stuck in a bathtub. And
I want a Taft mask.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty baller.
Yeah, this did make me think about the thing of the presidential masks. Like there's one. I remember they had the Obama masks and there's George W. Bush mask and yeah, I think they even made Trump ones. I didn't see him as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to have a Jimmy Carter. Bring it back, But yeah, so my favorite of the movie, I'm gonna pick Jimmy Carter. But we'll get to that. I don't want to spoil that too much, even though it's already on the screen over there for our video viewers. But all right, well, we're back with Best Boys, and if that's not a little bit of a hint, if we didn't tell you last week, this is episode 3, part 3 of Boomfest. Boom, 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 boom. And we are bringing you a double feature of epic proportions, totally radical proportions.
The Biggs is back.
With Kathryn Bigelow. She's back?
Kathryn the Biggs Bigelow. I don't know. She's on the podcast for the first time. I
guess. She's here for the first time. I was trying to think. So honestly, we've done so many. We're at a point in episodes where I am starting to lose track of what we've done and what we haven't, which is cool.
Yeah. I'm in the exact same way. Every time you bring up a movie that and you're like, did we do it for a podcast? That I have to start circling back, and I can only ever get to the last maybe 10 weeks, and then I can't remember. I have to look at the titles to see.
Yeah, and then it's when you're watching other movies, you don't know what you watched for pleasure, and I mean it's all for pleasure, but whatever. But yeah, so this is somebody that I've wanted to do for a while. This is somebody whose films I've wanted to see for a while, and I figured that Boomfest was the best vehicle to introduce her to the podcast. So welcome, Kathryn Bigelow. I'm telling you, I'm gonna get drops someday. Someday we're gonna have drops, and I will be good at it. Kathryn Bigelow, and she is definitely known for action movies, and I have her filmography up and just taking a look here. What have you seen? Have you seen any of her films previously?
Going into this, the only movie I had seen was The Hurt Locker. I've heard about Zero Dark 30 and saw a ton of trailers for it at the time because it was heavily advertised, but because it was it came up because Hurt Locker, she got an Academy Award for, so it was a big deal when Zero Dark 30 came out. But no, I've only seen The Hurt Locker, so this is all new to me.
Yeah, I have not seen any of her movies, and I don't know if this is the first time or one of the first times. I mean, I don't know if I saw Richard Linklater. No, I did, because he did School of Rock and shit. Yeah, I don't know if there's somebody's gonna have to go back in the archives and let me know if there was an episode that I didn't see anything, but this is definitely one. And it's somebody that, like I said, has been excited to see. In particular, for me, Point Break has always been an interesting movie style-wise that I've wanted to check out. And I was not disappointed. These were two solid action films, thoughtful, stylish action films, did not disappoint. So I as far as what I've heard of or been familiar with, obviously Zero Dark 30, The Hurt Locker, as you've seen. I have heard of K-19, The Widowmaker, and I have heard of Blue Steel, because I remember seeing it in like the Hollywood Video, the rental video place where we lived. That was honestly how I cataloged so many movies. The ones that I never knew is because of not because of like advertisements, is just walking through the rental and looking at all the covers and just remembering that cover. Blue Steel does have a cover that kind of looks very similar to other things, but I'm pretty sure that I've seen that. The cover, not the movie. So, Point Break. I figure we should start chronologically since this is there's no special thing around this. And did you not know about Point Break?
So I've always known about the movie Point Break because it's referenced in a lot of things. The one thing that comes to mind is the big wave thing on Rocket Power. Definitely.
Oh my God, Rocket Power! Yeah, I did not realize how much Rocket Power takes from this movie.
But I didn't even know this was Catherine Bigelow until a few years ago. I don't even know why or whatever. I just remember talking to somebody and we were talking about filmography stuff, and someone said that she did Point Break as well. I was like, really? I had no idea because one, I didn't think she was that old, and two, the movie it's in a genre that is especially of the time predominantly dominated by male directors, and it being such a staple like action movie of that like era is incredible how it stands out. Now watching it, this was one of the funnest movies I've seen in a while, and first off, as soon as I saw the 2-hour runtime, it started getting me going, both excitement and sexually, because anything that's 2 hours and less now gets 2 thumbs up off the bat.
Yeah, it definitely gives it a bonus score.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And but man, this was so well paced, so much interesting. Keanu Reeves has so much range in this movie. I feel like I haven't seen a movie with him that he has this much range in, because his older stuff, or I'm not older, I mean his newer stuff that he's older in, you're pretty much just getting the same Keanu. And the early stuff that I've seen is stuff, it's like Bill and Ted or whatever, where it's just, he's just playing like a an LA stoner guy or whatever. But this was super good. The performances across the board fantastic. Gary Busey steals the show for me. Patrick Swayze is awesome, and I love that I was, when it got to the end of the movie, I was just like, I thought it was one of the things where like it ends where the good guys lose, and I was still satisfied with the actual ending. But man, I was so into how this movie was.
So well, just to continue on what you're saying, I loved the movie. I definitely love the movie, but as far as Keanu's performance, I think this is an example of some of his early stuff where he is pretty stiff, and he kind of delivers line, and it's funny because he delivers some lines like the same way in The Matrix, and things like that when he's in agent mode. But I did appreciate how in the beginning, when he slowly transforms, like his accent becomes more dude-like as the movie progresses, and he spends more time with the surfers. And then in the epilogue, he is like so like free and like, yeah, bro, you can catch that wave. And it's like, geez, man. But he like gets woke, to the lifestyle, and I don't know. This movie's so iconic. I think iconic is the perfect word to describe it, because style-wise, it's like of its time, but is timeless at the same time. Time. You know what I mean, though? Like it's both of those things. Like it's like the early '90s, late '80s as fuck. Like through and through, but at the same time, it is so freaking cool. Like it I don't know, it kind of transcends all that.
Yeah, the whole everything in the movie I find so timeless, just because like nothing is really that much different now other than just some technology things. But for the most part, like this is still applicable to like stuff today, and the way that it's like mapped out and planned out, with like how the heists and stuff are, and like how the investigative stuff. There's a ton of time skips that are just like they're given throwaway lines to just let you know how long it's been since the last scene, which I kind of wish it was a little tighter, but it works so well. It reminds me a lot of the like some of the scenes in Heat, like the heist scenes in Heat. The one bank robbery scene at the end of this really reminded me of because like when shit starts going south or whatever, and it's just like it's not. I would
Tom
say that
Sizemore is in the movie also, who is in Heat. He's a small role.
Who does he play on this? I don't remember what he looks like.
Tom Sizemore is the guy. He's the undercover cop that is with the Red Hot Chili Peppers guy.
Gotcha.
And
yeah,
Anthony Kiedis is a drug man. And they're all in the house together, and they have a shitload of guns.
Yeah. Okay, so he's the guy that from the DEA screaming at them.
He's like, "Yeah, you fucked up my boss. I've been undercover."
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So I did note that to myself, like, oh wow, he's like in the same kind of fucking movie.
Did Heat come before this?
Yeah, no, Heat is after. It's like 3 years
Gotcha.
later, I think.
Gotcha.
Something like that.
Yeah, there's just so much to like about this. There's so just like off the beginning of it, you don't really spend too much time really in the beginning or whatever. They just show Keanu doing his gun runs that he's famous for, which is cool because it's just showing that he's like crazy good accurate shooter, which comes into play on why he misses later or whatever. But it really just gets right into it. I love Dr. Cox in this. His real name being
John C. McGinley.
Yep, John C. McGinley. I think I love the relationship there. I like as soon as Keanu gets in there and he's just like saying what he wants to hear until he sees a donut, and then it just immediately all with Dr. Cox, all credibility is out the window. But the only thing I didn't like about this, I think, for the most part, is Johnny Utah is such a cheesy name.
Well, that's part of the style to me. Is it's like there's so many cheesy, like cliche things. That, like I feel like that when people make fun of cheesy action movies, that this movie has some of those tropes. God, the ending, like just let me go, man, just let me go.
So what's the lifetime?
Like one time, one more chance, and then I promise it's it. And then he does because they're just bud. They're good buds.
Yeah. It's like I get it. I surf too. I understand.
Honestly, do you know what this movie reminds me of? A lot. This has a lot of DNA with John Woo, in my opinion.
Really?
Hard Boiled, for sure, has a lot of similarities to me as far as like cheesy action, but like actually is so cool because of the style. Like he just like leans into the style, and the
gunplay is very chaotic, like John Woo as well.
Yeah, it's not choreographed to the degree of John Woo, but as far as like there's an emotional weight. There's like a bond between the antagonist or like the male characters. There's a little just straight up homoerotic kind of a relationship between the two, especially between Swayze and Keanu in this. Just like Tony and Chow Yun-Fat and Hard Boiled. Yeah, I don't know. That's what made me love it. I was like, wow, like that was only a couple years earlier. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I think that there's just I think there's a lot of influence there, in my opinion. And it's just like mixing that with like surfer culture, and it's like very LA. It's very California or whatever. And it kind of establishes some cool, like modern coolness for surfing, but also, it's like a bank robbery. It's a heist thing going on. I don't know. I think it's very, iconic for what it's trying to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The more you're talking about it, the more I'm just replaying Hard Boiled in my head, like parts that I can remember, and it's yeah, you definitely have that feeling of it, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was like the action sequences to specifically were like an inspiration on
both. It's like both to me, like the emotional side and the action. The action is different and definitely in Hard Boiled, but I mean, I think that movie definitely had a lot of influence on a lot of American action films because it was kind of like an inverse of itself. Like it was influenced by 80s action films, and then that kind of influenced that films of the 90s and beyond to this day.
What did you how did you feel about the about those time skip moments? Because that's like my one big critique I think I have of this. Because I mean, it's for the sake of pacing, and I think it does work. But there are moments where it feels like they just showed up the next day to do something, and then someone throws a line about we've been staking this out for 3 weeks or shit like that.
Oh my god, I didn't even catch some of that. I mean, I obviously knew that there was a time skip at the end. And when I knew there was like the training montage, like there was a time skip there.
Yeah,
but I didn't know that I didn't honestly notice that.
like the big one that stuck out to me was when the Red Hot Chili Peppers guys, when they were staking them out, like that ended up being because you didn't think it was going to be that they were staking it out that long, and then Dr. Cox comes in and he's like, these guys got we have accounts of their whereabouts for the last 3 months.
Oh yeah, you're right.
As if they've been stalking them for like that long, and it's so the things like that where it feels like a lot of this movie.
No,
feels
I thought that meant that they were trying to trail those guys before.
Because Dr. Cox was on like the cop side at first when the DEA guy was like freaking out, and then the DEA guy says that, yeah, well, how could they be robbing this bank when they were in Florida doing this? And then Dr. Cox gets pissed off at Keanu and Gary Busey. So it was like things like that where it was like this movie feels like it takes place over the course of like a couple weeks, but in reality it takes place over the course over 3 months, the whole summer at this point. It feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, it works for the pacing of the film, but it is just kind of, I would say that is like the messiest part of the movie, which honestly I feel like most people won't even care about that. But it still works. Like it still works. I don't think it takes away from it too much.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't really bother me. It didn't bother me. I didn't really notice it. I think it just kind of also adds to. It's like from a thing of its time. I think a little bit. Yeah, to keep the pace. It's definitely to keep the pace up.
I feel like I was gonna say, because I feel like if I'm more aware of the time skips, I give a shit more about the relationships built by the characters. But if it feels like this is only over a couple weeks, then it's like harder to sell in my mind like how close and tight everybody is so quickly. But like I said, this doesn't really. I think this works regardless.
Yeah, it's hard to like decide how I feel about it. But because it's like so much of it is the style and it's time, and it's really hard to separate like what's actually cheesy and doesn't work and how much of it does work, if that makes sense. Just in we briefly just talked about Keanu. You said the cast was all great. Patrick Swayze, though, is at the height of his powers, literally sexy wise and performance wise. And then obviously Laura Petty is in Lori Petty is in this as well. I always say it wrong. Which I don't know if you know what else she is from, but I know as Tank Girl. She's the lead in Tank Girl, and I always thought she was super cool. And now I know how she got into Tank Girl. She's pretty perfect role from doing this. I'm sure she's in other things too, but these are the two things that I will associate with her. But yeah, she's great as well, though I feel like her character just kind of drops off the second half of the movie a little bit, because then she gets kidnapped and it's like a really long period, and then she just disappears. She just hugs him. I feel like her character is like pretty cool, and then it kind of just fades away and isn't really interesting anymore and becomes just like a prop for the movie.
Yeah, definitely, because once that the heist that Gary Busey and Keanu like intervene on happens like a little over halfway through the movie, and then her character's gone for the whole rest of the film. After that heist thing, they have the thing where she finds out he's an FBI agent, but that happens just after her halfway point, and then she's gone. I think it's like an hour and 15. Then the last 45, the only time you see her is on that tape thing that he shows him in the van.
Mm-hmm.
And which is, yeah, it does suck, but because if I kind of wish that they would maybe cut to like the dude who's keeping her hostage and stuff, just to add a little more tension for the audience, or whatever. But like, at the same time, I guess you're just supposed to be so focused on this because this is their perspective, and they wouldn't know what's actually going on with her beyond just what Patrick Swayze is allowing him to know. I guess it works, but it also just kind of it's like they didn't know what else to do with her, so they just wrote her out.
Yeah, and when, like, it just becomes so much about Swayze and Keanu, Bodhi and Johnny, and their relationship, and just like there's so many wild lines in this movie that stuck in my head afterwards. Young, dumb, and full of cum, which I've heard before. Yeah. But man, the way Dr. Cox said it was just like, whoa, there's a little bit of gayness on that, and I like it. And then also, oh god, towards the end, very end, and they're in the plane for the final jump, and Patrick Swayze says something like, "You want me so bad, it's like acid in your mouth, or it's like acid on your tongue." And I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? I don't know. It sounds sexy to me, though. It sounded like they're just so so many smoldering looks between the two.
And then after Patrick Swayze jumps out, Keanu Reeves is punching the plane. Go, God, I didn't even get my last kiss goodbye. And then dives out.
Well, yes. Oh, and then. So there are, I think about this movie. I mean, I guess we'll get to like specific moments. But like that is a thing. The relationship is just like a key. It's not even about Lori Petty. It's about Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves, and the opening scene when they really like fully fall for each other, and they're at that party, and he's just like, "Mikasa Sukasa, bro, help yourself," and he's like talking about Lori Petty is just like his thing. Lori Petty is his thing that he can just like, oh yeah, help yourself to my woman, and then they end up falling in love and all that, but it's just weird. It's like she's like the proxy for them to have sex with each other or something.
Like, you've had sex with my girl, it's like having sex with me.
Yeah, like we're Eskimo brothers. Our bond is deeper. That's actually a bad term, I think. I should not say that.
Eskimo brother?
Yeah, I think that's not I think that's a racially insensitive term. Oh, the term Eskimo period is not is a white people's term for them. Right, like Inuits, or I can't even think off the top of my head. But
I just think of Scrubs.
When just Native Americans that are from those areas, But that is like not a good term anymore.
Should they just say they're cum brothers?
Yeah, cum brothers. I don't have to like or edit it out. I don't think, but yeah, they are cum brothers. And the Wiener Cousins, I think, as I've heard it described.
No, that's before. Another one. Yeah,
Wiener Cousins. I like Cum Brothers better than Wiener Cousins.
The other one I just knew it from Scrubs. Back in the day, is where I heard that original term coined.
Well, I mean, I think
it was on back when Never Scrubs was on NBC. But like I said, that was also like in the 2000s. Like late 2000s, so.
All right, well, let's settle this. Let's settle this right now. The word Eskimo is an offensive term that has been used historically to describe the Inuit throughout their homeland. Inuit Nunangat in the Arctic regions of Alaska, Greenland, and Canada. There you go.
All right. Cum brothers it is.
Yeah, cum brothers. I'm leaving it in so everyone can learn. They learn from us.
And then they slap arms and go,
Yeah.
camaraderie.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, what's it in Predator or whatever when they're like flexing arms on each other.
That's the first Predator.
I always think it's from Rocky, but it's actually from Predator.
No, the only
Rocky 4
thing like
shit.
the only thing like that's as sweet, which is a Stallone. It is a Stallone thing, and that's Over the Top. That's where you get some real big arm guns clamming together.
Yeah, the 80s are all about pipes, big pythons,
big time, big 22-inch
boobs and biceps for sure in the 80s. But all right, we got to get back on task here. So let's talk about some specific fun moments in the movie. I want to bring up because I know this movie being referenced from Hot Fuzz, and when the Nick Frost character like talks about shooting up in the sky. He's like, I have to kill him, but I can't do it. So I just shoot at the sky. And that happens in this movie. The jumping scenes are really cool. The skydiving scenes.
It's super cool. I was not anxious, but like I was tense watching the skydiving scenes for some reason because I was convinced that they gave him like a bad shoot on the second or on the first one. That they like intentionally were gonna give him a bad shoot, and like it was all a pre-planned thing to swap around all the things. Where it's like, where's the ball under the cup? But they know.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a really cool one. I honestly love the scene. It was really beautiful. There was really cool cinematography in this movie. Mm-hmm. Stylish. Also, in the next movie we're going to talk about, but and very different from each other. I really liked the skydiving scene. The first one was a lot of fun once they got out there. Actually made me do some research about skydiving, and I don't know if you knew this, but I assumed that skydiving would feel like, like free falling, like jumping
off a diving board.
Yeah, or you feel like your belly, like it feels like, or going off the what's the thing in amusement parks, like the Tower of Terror or something.
Oh yeah, like the Sky Coaster.
Yeah, like those, like that feels like weird when you fall down because like it feels weird in your stomach. But apparently, when you skydive, because the wind and everything is like holding you up. That you are like literally flying down, and it doesn't feel like that. You just feel like you're floating.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be a really really cool experience.
When I did a travel job years ago with the YouTuber, we went to one of those like indoor. I don't know what to call it. There's like one of those.
They shoot air,
but it's all. Yeah. So they put you in the big tunnel. They put you in a wingsuit, in a wingsuit, and you just fly up and hover. It's supposed to simulate free falling, and it's just a straight pressure. Like you don't feel like you're just like jumping in the pool, like that little hang time that feels forever. It just feels like the world is pushing you up.
I guess it has to do with, at least with the I guess with skydiving, because I don't know if it's because you're in the plane and you're like moving. With the plane and like jumping out of the plane instead of like if you're bungee jumping or something, you're from rest to jumping. So like you fall faster than like your stomach does, I guess is what makes that feeling. Because it comes up and it feels weird. I don't know. I thought it was super cool, and it makes me want to actually try skydiving.
Oh, I 100% want to skydive before I die. The only time I actually was like able to skydive, I was going to be too heavy. It was a few years ago. Evan and I had been hanging out for a couple of years, but they have a weight limit of if you're over 240, then then it's they charge you like $100 extra, and it's like more of a deal. So they recommend being under 240. And at the time, I was riding the line, and I didn't want to risk it. Man, it's always been on my list of. I just want to know what it feels like to
that's good to
experience near death.
Well, it's supposed to like feel like not. Yeah, the fact that would be the reason why I wouldn't want to do it is I don't want to feel that weird feeling for an extended period of time. But knowing that it's like you're floating, and then all you have to, when you do it for the first time, you have to do it with a professional You know,
Yeah,
it's
you're
not like
strapped into
yeah,
somebody.
it's not like this where the first time you're doing it, you have to do it yourself. So
Yeah.
it's safe as it can be. You can't control where you're going or anything like that, but you can at least experience the view and everything. And it's like you have to do so many jumps or whatever before you can go by yourself.
Yeah. And they
But
make you pack your own chute. Apparently, from what Evan told me, is they make you pack your own chute because that way you don't trust anybody but yourself. And if it messes up, then it's your own fault, and you have to sign all these waivers.
oh
Which is
man,
scary, but also kind of reassuring if I know I did it right with like a professional over my shoulder telling, like if I'm packing it myself, but someone's
yeah, they're
telling
not
me
gonna let you.
the right to do.
They're not gonna let you fucking die.
Yeah.
They don't want to die.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they have to do it with you, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, they
it by
do the
yourself.
dropping stuff with you. Yeah, they do the dropping stuff with you, but if what Evan said, like they teach you how to pack your bag, and then you have to pack your own bag.
It's wild that because they're also using it. I guess
like
that's the thing
thing.
is you're a team, so they have to make sure you do it right, so they don't die.
That's what he told me. It's
maybe you don't.
way,
Maybe you
cool.
can do it by yourself, but I know in maybe it's different states. But anyways, all right, we're anyways. So the skydiving was dope. The bank heists were also dope. I did see also like some influence with Michael Mann. I thought of Heat, but Heat came after. But I think Michael Mann has got some DNA in this. I really do. What did you think about? I don't know the oh my god, this is the scene I wanted to talk about. The football scene with the car with the headlights. Yeah, with the headlights.
Yeah. Oh, I was cool. In my mind, I was like, if I was there in person, yeah, you'd be able to see no problem. But man, the camera makes it seem like they're just playing in the dark with a bunch of backlights.
Yes, but it did. And when it was very lateral. Like it was just like because they wanted to use it, and they were only on one side, so it was just very side. It was like a side scroller, you know.
Yeah. So they're probably doing because shooting on film back in the day, you need so much light to shoot on film, way more than you need on digital. And so they're probably just like, all right, well, just to make sure we see at least all the silhouettes of everybody, let's just backlight everybody with a row of things, and we'll just shoot it like that. So at least we know we see people moving or whatever. But yeah, it's very much. It's the only thing I thought was kind of weird. But I mean, it works. It's and I like the ending when when Keanu tackles him into Patrick Swayze into the ocean. It like has a nice. It goes a little bit dark. But it has this nice thing when it's cutting between the guys being like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Blah blah blah, and Patrick Swayze standing up for Johnny Utah. But it was cool. It's shot weird. I think it's shot weird.
Yeah, I thought it was different. I thought it was interesting. Like I thought it was. I didn't know if I liked it or not, but I thought it was interesting.
Probably just a thing for the like what they could do with the technical limitations of the time.
Yeah, it had style. It's like this whole movie. It had style. We brought up the surfing stuff, but I was thinking about the like how the board that he has, the first board that he has is like, an old school board. I looked it up. I forget what they called it, a pig board. And apparently that's a board style from the 50s. And they didn't use that anymore. So they were like making fun of him for his board and all that. And I thought that was that was cool. Like they had to get insider information. They want to make sure they had the right kind of info about it. And yeah, like you brought up Rocket Power. I feel like a lot of that stuff we got exposed to through that show. But there's like a lot of that in this, in the first half, and then the surfing kind of goes away, and then it just becomes about their relationship, and like how it's just about like like adrenaline junkie stuff. Both of these films are about adrenaline junkies.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. Was there any other particular points or scenes you wanted to talk about?
During the ending, when Patrick Swayze's riding the big kahuna wave, I'm just going to call it that, because I think that's what it's called in Rocket Power. The man, he get like I'm expecting this nice like this big glorious thing where he stands up on the board and the big swell and he hits it at least for like 5 seconds and then goes down. Motherfucker just stands on the board and immediately goes down. He's the best surfer in that whole thing, and we watched him shredding the
That
gnar.
was weird too.
And he's out there shredding the gnar, bro, and then he gets what he wants and immediately just head dives down and dies. It's just like, I don't know. At least if you're gonna make the point to let him have his wave, I feel like they kind of just took the wind right out of it.
Trying to kill him. I think he was definitely trying to kill himself. But yeah, you know what I thought was gonna happen was that he was gonna be able to surf it at first, and he's like go into the tube and then just like never come out.
Never. Yeah, that would have been sick. That's what I was expecting.
Yeah, and it was gonna like play magical music. Like he's like, oh, maybe he teleported away.
Yeah, and then all the cops would just be like, "Where did he go? We don't see him." And then Keanu's just walking away through the badge still, and like,
I know I brought it up already, but Keanu's voice was it was like straight up Bill and Ted in the end. But in the beginning, he was like super stiff. I was also thinking about John. In the beginning, he's got like slicked hair. It reminds me a lot of Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks, which is just a couple years before this as well. He's like very stiff and he's very prim and proper. But then we find out that he's a quarterback and he's Mr. High School, Mr. Cool, and he has a knee injury that comes up at various points of the movie.
But take him around back. He had to hang up his helmet.
I don't know. I like this a lot.
That ACL.
I liked it a lot. I think it is very iconic is the word that I can only think of. It's been referenced so many times and parodied so many times, and I think it kind of is a movie that maybe suffers from that a little bit. It's being, but also like those are the movies that are very timeless, and there's a reason why like they get referenced even to this day.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, I definitely think this holds up. There's not really much that has changed in the style of the modern era compared to when it comes to like the reality portion of this thing. Like it all feels timeless. It feels like it's surfer broy whatever, but it still feels grounded. And I think it's awesome. I wish I would have seen this earlier in life. It's really good. This is really fucking good.
All right. Well, what do you give in Point Break?
I'm giving Point Break a 4.5.
Whoa.
This is right up my alley.
Oh, I know. I get it. I'm giving it a 4.0. But there you have it.
Have it, y'all. The only thing that held it back for me was just I didn't like the time skip stuff. I thought was a little messy, and then we
didn't talk about Gary Busey. His character was
god, I loved Gary Busey. He's my favorite part of the film.
Yeah, he was good. He was good.
He's
but he was
so
weird.
good.
His character's weird a little bit though.
Yeah, but in all the right ways. Like I love that. It's like they find the common ground because they both hate their boss, Dr. Cox.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he he was still like giving shit to Keanu, but also like understood that Keanu is taking this seriously. But it's just you gotta let the new blood take a crack at some things. And I love the dynamic. It was just real fun. I was so upset. I had a real "if Daryl dies, we riot" moment whenever Gary Busey died, and I
did not expect him to die, but somebody had to. The good guys. If it's not gonna, and we don't want it to be Laura Petty, Lori Petty. So yeah, I think that Keanu is a little bit stiff. I think in the beginning, but now I realize he was kind of like trying to be, and then so that it's more drastic of a change as the movie goes on. But I don't know if it worked all the time. It's like quintessential Keanu though. I don't know. There's a lot to like, but also it's hard. Like I said, it's hard to tell because there's so much that is like cheesy stuff, and it's like hard to separate that. from the style being what it was for the time. So yeah, that's where I settled on 4. But all right, that is that. We can move on and to the next one, as they say, and with the Turd Locker. I'm just kidding. The Hurt Locker. I kept calling it the Turd Locker all weekend, but it's not because I didn't like it. So, where to begin with the Hurt Locker? I was a little bit not worried, but interested. I didn't see it when it came out. I knew that it won a couple Oscars, and I knew it had to do with the Iraq War, and I wasn't sure how that would have aged. Sometimes movies like these win a bunch of awards. Crash comes to mind, not the 90s Crash, the 2000s Crash comes to mind. It won a bunch of fucking awards at the time, and now everyone says it's dog shit. And there's other examples, but that's like the one of our time. And I was a little worried that this might lean that way, being a movie about the Iraq War and whatnot. But no, I was wrong. It's not perfect in my opinion, but also it is super fucking interesting. The concept and what it's about, and as somebody that is into politics and history, and military history also, this kind of satisfies a lot of that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I really, really enjoyed it. And this is kind of the movie that Jeremy Renner and Anthony Mackie, got their Marvel guap for. They got that Marvel check because of doing this movie, and it definitely is deserved. Jeremy Renner kicks ass, and Anthony Mackie is also really, really good. The current Captain America.
Yeah.
But all right, but yeah, what do you think about the Hurt Locker? I'm really resisting trying to call it the Turd Locker.
Well, I was looking at the budget right now where you're talking, and I am absolutely blown away. They made this for 15 million, and it was an independent production. It wasn't studio based, and they made it and then sold it. That's insane, because this did not feel like a $15 million movie to me. I thought that this was at least 50. That's nuts. I love this movie. The second half is a little slow, but overall, I saw this for the first time back when it came out in 2008, and loved it back then. It was one of those movies that so I would have been 15 at the time, but it really stood out, and it was one of those first things where you're starting to get old enough to really recognize emotional weight in movies. And it was just there's so much tension the entire way through. And I think this might be the best thing Jeremy Renner's ever done that I've seen, and it might be the only thing I like of Jeremy Renner that I've seen.
I don't think he's a bad actor, but I feel like he doesn't get a lot of great roles.
Yeah, I mean the only other thing I've seen him in is the Marvel shit, and I think he's a waste of space in those.
Yeah, you haven't seen Hawkeye, the television show.
And nor would I ever want to. It looks so. I'm not just coming from a Marvel fanboy, but I don't know.
You're not even a fanboy if you haven't seen them all.
Oh, that's the thing. I stopped after Endgame. I took a big break, and it's just hard to get back into.
Yeah, you got your pile of shame.
I got my bookend with Endgame, and nothing. Everything I've seen since then is not as good as anything that's come before it.
So I'm going to very briefly give you my current experience with Marvel stuff, MCU stuff. Is I will get to a point. Endgame was a point for me for a long time, for a while, and I'll stop. This is it. I'm sick of this shit. I'm so sick of this cape shit. It's all dog shit, formula garbage. And then I'll be like, there'll be something that comes out that I'll be like, you know what? I really want to know what happens to this guy or girl or whoever. And then I'm like, shit. Well, I can't just jump in and miss all these references to the 8 things that came out between this and that.
So now they get you.
So then I end up forcing myself to watch, everything else. And so I'm currently doing that with the television shows. I recently finished Loki. I'm halfway through, or I'm almost to the end, I think, of WandaVision. They're all right. That's all I'm
Yeah.
giving you. Is they're all right.
Yeah, I from what I've seen of the new, I've seen Eternals and Doctor Strange 2 of the movies, and Doctor Eternals is kind of ass, and Doctor Strange 2 is kind of meh. Which the best part of Doctor Strange 2 is just Sam Raimi's like cinematic style of stuff.
Yeah. Stop. You stop.
Sorry.
This is not.
Sorry.
See this.
You opened up Pandora's box.
Yeah,
you knew what you were getting into.
Oh my god! I always like briefly. I'm just gonna say this. We go back to talking about the fucking movie, and then you gotta give a dissertation about Phase 4.
Jeremy Renner. So Jeremy Renner has his own app that fans of him can just be on and be a part of to see his everyday life, and I think it's weird.
All right,
that's how we'll get us back in. The Hurt Locker.
Weird. Yeah, I mean that I didn't have any grudge against him, or I don't have any problems with him, but that would make me, because that's
it's very weird. He's a very weird guy apparently in real life. But anyways, he's fantastic in this movie. I love the you get a little sexual tension between Anthony Mackie and Jeremy Renner in the one scene midway through the movie. I don't know if you know the scene.
Yeah, the drunken. Yeah, every bro, anyone who's been around a bunch of bros, masculine bros, has probably seen this situation happen before. Minus like the knives, but the knife part. But yeah.
But when Jeremy Renner was on top of Anthony Mackie, I just kept saying out loud, and then they kiss. And then they kiss because it looked like it. It just kept getting more.
I think we said something like that. Yeah, that's funny that there's also a homoerotic moment in this scene in this movie as well. That's definitely Catherine Bigelow's thing, is like telling these kind of emotional stories between men. I think that's kind of interesting. There's definitely something, and then the adrenaline junkie thing is between these two movies, which I guess we'll get into here. So the whole point of the movie is that they are a bomb squad essentially. They find IEDs and dismantle them or set them off without killing anybody, and it's very, very dangerous. And the opening of the movie, I don't know if you noticed, but Guy Pearce is in the beginning of the movie
I love Guy Pearce
as a red herring, because you're like, oh shit, Guy Pearce in this. He's gonna be around he'll be around for half the movie at least. Nope. One scene dies, and you're just like, oh fuck, Guy Pearce, he's gone.
Dude, that opening.
So there's two of those points in this movie, but we'll start with that one for now. Where they got, dare I say, Snow Dog. Yeah, if you saw their name on the on like you say you saw their name on the poster, and like, yeah, dude, can't wait to see Ray Fiennes and Guy Pearce and Jeremy Renner, and just like, no, you're getting cameos. You're getting like a little more than cameos.
Pretty much, yeah. But man, that opening scene, it grips you.
It's cool. So it's tense. Good. It's tense.
Man, yeah. Because once Guy Pearce dies in that explosion, you like, because I was watching with Kylie and she'd never seen it, and her jaw just dropped right when Guy Pearce died, and it's just like, is this the movie? Is this what it is? And I was like, oh, we're just getting started. And then Jeremy Renner.
I watched it with my partner as well, and she kept saying that it's very good, but like it's very anxious because there's so many. It's a lot of this movie is just like them trying to make the right decisions in a calm but stressful, intense, stressful moment, and not die. And it's like 4 or 5 of those in this movie, and you're just like on edge, just waiting to see what happens. There's like the sniper battle, and there's the every bomb situation is like this case. It's like this case. I kind of like it. It's like serialized almost, and then they kind of have they have like the days left in the tour of duty.
Loved that.
Yeah, it makes it honestly makes it feel a little bit like a television show. Like I feel like I could have watched a Hurt Locker show that just like has this, this is the case of the week thing, of the bomb squad case of the week. In a grander sense, like the scale wise, I think that it is very interesting to think about just being an occupying force in a non-active war zone. It's like or like it is a war zone. I don't know how they would classify it. But it's not like active war zone. Like it's not armies fighting. It's just, you're occupying a country, and there are insurgents or domestic terrorists or whatever you want to call them. For one man's terrorist is one man's freedom fighter. Like some of those people might not be connected with Al Qaeda. They just might want you to get the fuck out of their country. It gets very messy, and it's like innocent people's lives are put at stake, but also and like also the way the soldiers treat the civilians. One, because some of them are just assholes and racist. Some of them have been hardened because they've seen this shit for a while, and they know they treat people a certain way. But and then I keep thinking about the scene that sticks out to me is this scene with the psychiatrist soldier guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like trying to be kind to the people and whatnot, and they weren't, like, it was starting to gather a crowd. So then he ended up resorting to being threatening, like the other guys, and they dispersed. But there was one of them left a bomb, and he was killed. And it's like, there's good people, probably a lot of good people in that group, but just one guy or one person comes up and drops a bomb, and that's all it takes. And it's just, I think it calluses people, and Jeremy Renner's character, Will, I believe his name is.
Will James.
Will James. He's become very hardened. And he doesn't really like. We have one character, Eldridge, who's very afraid of dying, and it's kind of really dwelling on his mortality and all this. Where and then Anthony Mackie, his character is pretty even keeled, and Will, who's very, very good at dismantling bombs, kind of does so with reckless abandon, and doesn't really care about, he wants to do a good job and save lives, but he doesn't care what happens to him, and his actions also put his team at risk as well, like the one where Anthony Mackie ends up punching him.
Because he goes off walkie. But yeah, there's so much that's done. That character dynamic, having the straight man, having the younger, skittish guy, but obviously he's still going to do his job, and then the guy doesn't care about anything about himself. All he cares about is the job or whatever. It works very well because this isn't a big cast. It's for the most part you're just following these three dudes the entire movie. Little moments here and there to break it up with other people, but it creates this family kind of dynamic by the end of it that like Jeremy Renner has like real care for like the kid. And he takes on more of like a fatherly role or like an older brother role to him. Like he constantly is telling him like, "Don't worry, I'm going to take care of you, buddy." Which he obviously doesn't do with Anthony Mackie's character because he trusts that they're going to do it. Even though that Jeremy Renner is the team leader, you don't feel like he's in charge. You feel like Anthony Mackie's in charge because Jeremy Renner is definitely more he's just there to do his thing and protect what he's got to protect, but like he doesn't need to be the guy calling the shots, and like that's where Anthony Mackie's character come in. It's just a really good dynamic. I was gonna say earlier, I just love how they have so many of those high tension bomb defusing scenes, and you might think, oh, it could be repetitive, but at the same time, that's what these guys do every single day. Every single day is a high octane intensity thing in 100-degree heat, where there's a bomb at least every day, and every direction you're looking is a bystander of some kind, and anyone could be a person who could detonate it or be a guy who's being a lookout for something or whatever. And it just like it helps. Obviously we'll never know what it's like to be there. I've never served, and neither of you, but it gives the audience a great sense of just like a little taste of
you have to like be paranoid. Like, so sometimes they think they seem paranoid, and then something does happen, and you're like, oh, this is why.
Yeah, like this is why Jeremy Renner was getting punched in the face, is because fucking even one person not communicating or doing what they're supposed to do can get everybody killed. It was just done so well, and I'm still just blown away by this budget and how well it's done. It's so good. It's so good. It's the only thing I would have to say, which we'll get into in a little bit, is just like the first half of this film versus the second half of this film.
Yeah, I agree. I think the movie kind of falls off a bit in the second half.
And like I kind of get it because it's like you don't want it to just be bomb defusals the entire thing.
Yeah, then you need something else. Yeah,
yeah, but it slows it down. It takes away too much of the tension because it's like I like obviously I feel bad about the kid thing, but I don't care as much as I did about just like the team relationship. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I don't know. The movie is really strong when it's focusing on the team stuff. But when Jeremy Renner, and even like I did enjoy the stuff with Jeremy Renner's character and the boy. I thought that was cool and whatnot. And then like I thought it was a twist that he finds a boy dead, and he thinks it's the boy and it's not the boy. And I thought that was interesting, but honestly, everything that he did was just like obnoxious, and he's just getting more and more obnoxious and reckless. And I feel like that his character wasn't really like punished for anything. Like he didn't really get anything for his actions. And then maybe that's like the point. Eldridge gets shot. That's pretty much what comes from what he's done. And you know, he goes right back into it in the end, which is the ending, which also I feel kind of weird about. I'm fine with him choosing to go back, but it was just like the way it was done. It was weird. And Evangeline Lilly was in the ending from Lost, which was cool. There was just actors that were in this for small parts. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you know they had to do something else for sure, but I don't think I think what they did else was, you know, the weakest part of the film.
I agree, definitely. And I just wanted to tell you that you were right per our conversation over the weekend. One of James's rounds hits Eldritch in the leg. I'm reading it on the Wikipedia.
Wow. I honestly you had me convinced, but because that made sense, because he'd be limping when
he was because he was already being dragged by like not walking when they shot the guy, so that's why I took it as. But no, it says one of James's rounds shoots him in the leg.
It's weird. No. It's weird and unclear visually, which but I mean it would be chaotic and that's
in the moment.
Meant to feel that way, I think, and it is.
And that leads up to the next thing I want to talk about, which is the cinematography of this. This is the shakiest movie of the year, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It is, the whole movie is shot in that like handheld guerrilla docu style, where you're constantly like panning and zooming it, like quick zooms in and out. It's just keeping
it's meant to seem real. Movie. It makes it definitely seem a lot more realistic, especially in the more intimate moments. You like notice it more than the scenes outside. I don't really notice it as much.
Yeah. But it was to the point where my partner even asked, "Is this supposed to be like a documentary, like a scripted documentary or type thing or something?" And I was like, "No, this is
this is just the way she just chose to do the cinematography, which I think is cool. I think it I like it. I appreciated it, and it was like at moments like, whoa, this is weird, like the way it's super shaky, but I think it's cool, and I liked it.
Yeah, it definitely elevates the just everything that's going on in the film, in my opinion. It brings it up to another heightened sense of tension that if you weren't getting enough of it just on what was playing out on screen, the way that the camera movement is and everything is going to make you feel frantic. You know, kind of like how Uncut Gems has a lot of that shaky hand and fast cut, just like giving you that extreme tension and anxiety the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I like this. I liked it, but it's like how much how much did me not liking the latter half of the film as much? It's not even like the latter half. It's like percentage wise, it's probably like a third or a quarter. It's just most of those parts were in the second half. I really was into the first half like all the way.
Oh, this flies. It flies so quickly. The first
Yeah,
half. So good.
I think we're an hour and a half in, and we just stopped to like get a drink, or one of us had to go to the bathroom or something, and we were just like astonished that we were that far because we were enjoying it so much. It really like I think it feels like a I know that I really like a movie when I don't like I just want it to keep going, like it could be a TV show to me, like I want more. And this movie
Yeah.
definitely is. It's like weird because as much as I didn't like some of those parts, I really really liked the movie overall. And there's like so much done really really well, and I just think it's super interesting concept and setting and everything.
Like I totally get why this got 2 Academy Awards, because it is, especially of the time, like the in '08, you know, what else was like that? You have what, Black Hawk Down, or like those other like similar like kind of Iraq Afghanistan era war movies. But nothing is like as intimate as this. Nothing. It's more grand scale stuff where this is just what it's like to be next, like walking with a soldier, doing bomb defusals.
And when I think, almost 15 years later, and it's different, but it's so it like gives you this perspective, kind of, like you haven't thought about this in a little while, and to be reminded of the war and what it was like for people, and yes, I mean it's super interesting.
I was thinking about one over the weekend what I would, not necessarily per se what I would do, but what they could have done to just kind of make those parts in the second half, kind of bring it up a little bit. But it's like, because like I get why they do the kid fake out thing, because it's to show he's losing it, because it's, he's rotate, they're towards the end of rotation, and there's just so much grief and bad shit has happened up to that point. And it's trying to show Jeremy Reynolds losing his mind, but at the same time I feel like if you just like have it actually be the boy, and they he has his moment of bringing the kid out, like defusing the bomb from inside of him, kid out or whatever, and then keep the oil tanker stuff just because it shows more like fucking up on Jeremy Renner's saying not taking his team's safety seriously. That would probably shave off like maybe 10 minutes out of the film, and I feel like it might make that second half feel a little better, because like when you get into that length, 10 minutes really can make or break something. But I don't know, because I get it. I get what they're going for. I just don't know if it played out as neatly as it could have, I guess.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's definitely it's a flawed, excellent, like an excellent movie, or like really good movie. So it's hard to kind of figure out how I feel about it ultimately. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on before we score this bad boy?
I'm trying to think. It's a very small cast. It's while it is a 2 hour 10 minute movie, it's pretty. You're getting a lot of, not to say a lot of the same, but like it's because it's done so well. But no, I that's really it. That's pretty much the only gripes I have or anything with this, and it's so good. Highly recommend it, especially if you're into like war stuff. But even if you're not, if you like high tension stuff, if you like Uncut Gems or something, like completely different kind of movie, but also same kind of feel. God, it's so good.
So apparently, there is a negative criticism about the film from veterans of the war. Particularly, they criticized the scene where, in real life, EOD techs don't conduct dangerous missions as autonomous three-man teams without communications gear. Another thing you'll rarely hear in combat is an EOD E7 suggesting to 2 or 3 of his guys that they leave the scene of an explosion in an Iraqi city by saying, "Come on, let's split up. We can cover more ground that way." Because I did have an issue with that tactically. I was like, this makes no fucking sense. And even just like how he was allowed to get back on base, and they just let him. He's like, oh, I was at a whorehouse. Like, how hard it would be to find a whorehouse in a Muslim country. Like, it's right? Underground shit. It's not it's not the same as other countries, because they could be killed.
Oh, sorry, I'm sure you got to do some stuff. You got to just to make it work as a
Spice
movie,
it up, yeah.
for sure. But yeah, I mean, it works. I can see that. I can't really comment as not being a non-veteran. But this is interesting.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be, it's about Wild Ass James. And I think it conceptually it works, and I think it's not, it's okay if it's not completely like the things that he does are not completely realistic. I don't know. I have a problem with that. But all right, I'm ready to give this thing a big old score, and I'm gonna give it a 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5.
That's honestly where I'm at with it.
I was almost gonna give it a 3.5. I think I like Point Break better. I think Point Break is a better overall movie, but I think I liked what I liked about Hurt Locker a lot. So I think yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I'm scoring Point Break more than this is just because the pacing is perfect in that movie. This just the second half kind of has like a little kind of drag moment in like the middle of the second, like right in the beginning of the third act, and but yeah, other than that, it is so good. It is so close to being perfect. But Point Break, I feel like, is just a stronger overall movie that's just better pacing, better characters, a slightly bigger world to have more fun in, if that makes sense. Not to say that something that's more fun is necessarily better, but it just works. It goes all in on what it's doing, and it does it perfectly, and damn near perfectly. And this is just super, super good, like just below, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's got too many problems to be any higher than 4. Honestly, I was like it's solidly a 4 after I watched it, but as we've talked about, I'm like maybe I should give it a 3.5. It's fun. I pulled up. I will have Google Images up for the video cast, and one of them is a Blu-ray cover for the Hurt Locker, and it has a quote. It has like I forget what they're called, but the review quotes, and it says a near perfect movie. And I can't make out the name, but I thought that was funny because it's great. I could see reviewers saying that, but not meaning like it's almost just perfect. It's just like it's a really really good movie, but there's just one thing that there's like sections that are not as good. I don't know. All right. Well, I think we can wrap it up for the Hurt Locker and Kathryn Bigelow. I definitely would be interested in seeing more of her work in the future. That is going to also do it for Boomfest. So fire one more round into the sky. And we will don't do that. Don't you kill somebody. But fire off your metaphorical rounds in the sky. And we will be back next year. But we will be back next week with the next episode of Best Boys. And we will return to the every other week schedule. But we wanted to really get on it for next week because there is a special movie out already we've been dying to see, and that's Nope. So next week we will be doing Jordan Peele. We will be doing Get Out and Nope. And then we will be returning to our every other week schedule. And I think I was just thinking about it earlier, is like once we do return, I want to try to restructure things a little bit. I kind of had an epiphany as we were going about this of how we could do things in a more structured way, like maybe open with like a synopsis, and then talk about the cast, and then talk about particular moments that we like, scenes, and then we could just go full spoilers about like spoilers or something, or I don't know. We can work it out. We got time, but I've been inspired. So we'll see you next week. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe and all the things. Make sure you leave a review if you're an Apple person, or leave a comment if you're a YouTube person, and whatnot. You can follow me at Slop Thomas. You can follow us at Best Boys Film Pod. You can follow him at Corey with a Story. You can say it. You can say it
with a K.
And we'll be back next week. You got anything for him?
Stay out of the heat. It's hot as fuck.
It's true. It's very hot. I'm very sunburned right now. I have stripes on my body. But all right.
Peace.
Burn.